Alright, everyone. Welcome to Painting Without My Left John. My Left John's at the Southern Ontario Open, which you just get myself, co-host John Spencer, and Gonzo the Irrational up in the corner to lead you through this Sunday night. Gonzo, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. How everybody else is doing?
Morning. God, what the hell am I talking about?
You're
Jesus.
not high.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily in the best there. Alright.
Can everybody hear us?
Hopefully everyone can hear us.
No video. I still got the pre-ramble shot up there.
Uh-oh. Give it a refresh. It says we're live.
Refreshing. Oh, may just take a minute.
Riveting podcasting. Sorry, guys. We're just double checking to make sure everything's working good. Congo says we're good. Thank you, Congo. I'm not used to myself being so big in the screen. It's somewhat... yeah, there's three of us because I'm here double. You get double John still. It's just two of me.
He thinks he's cool.
I do not think I'm cool.
Just thinks he's awesome.
All right. So we had a very spirited and an excellent end to the pre-ramble there. We're going to do some... talk about what we're drinking, then we're going to dive right into some topics and all.
Oh, hold on.
Uh-oh.
I got glue.
I can't have glue
bottles.
while it's time to be drinking. Come on, man.
Okay. Drinking.
Drinking.
What do you got?
Well, I'm going to start off with a shot of Jim Beam apple. I've been smelling it for the last half an hour while it's sitting in front of me in the shot glass. And I'm going to follow it up with the rest of my Angry Orchard crisp apple.
Start off with some scotch, of course.
Of course.
And I'm drinking a local brew of a chocolate mole.
Hmm.
And then finish off my last bottle of summer honey wheat.
Excellent. All right, Brushheads. Well, Ron.
Rod.
That is so tasty.
Ooh. Don't drink the glue, but I like glue.
That would be no bueno, sir.
Whew.
So I saw a video of, it's called Worth It, it's on YouTube, where they go and they have three of the same type of thing at different price points. And the last one I saw was cocktails, and they ended with a $268 cocktail, which was a, 30-year-old scotch mixed with some things. It was mind-boggling that there's a cocktail that expensive. I'm sure you could appreciate, though.
Oh, yeah. I've never paid $200 and some odd dollars for alcohol at a bar. I have paid $110 for a shot.
Woo!
Um,
Sir, that's a lot of money.
I have paid $2,500 for a bottle, though. So
Oh,
that's my
the most important question in both cases, were they worth it?
100% yes.
Awesome.
If you like cognac, yeah. We were at Disney, and it was like, okay, is this really worth it? Okay, we're at Disney, let's splurge. And I was like, they brought the bottle out. They were like, here's your shot glass, sir. Here we are, poured it, exactly one shot. Make sure, I was rubbing my finger around the rim to get all of it out. It was really good. And so Christmas bonus came around, and I wasn't expecting the money at all. So I bought a bottle of it.
Awesome.
Oh, it was... I think I drank on that for 2 years.
Oh, yeah, you don't drink that fast. You gotta take that slow.
I joked I was going to play quarters with it, and then I got beat up.
Yeah, that's not a good joke. All right. Well, tonight we're going to talk about theme lists. John's not
No.
here. No?
No,
Why not?
I don't know. Because I like giving you shit.
I gave you all the questions. I did everything right. I mean, except getting home maybe 15 minutes before I needed to start the pre-ramble. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I got your list. People are really mad.
It's an interesting discussion to have. And there were a lot of questions about it, and I figured it was good. John's not here to confuse us with his presidential ways.
Or his casual ways.
Hardcore casual. I believe in hardcore casual, but a lot of good questions here, and I figured it was good time to talk about them, just you and I, and see what we can hash out.
Whew. That beer after that shot, no bueno.
So here's a question that none of you guys are going to get the answer to, except Paulo, who asked us exemplar theme for speculation. It'll have exemplars in it, but John actually saw him at the Sioux and answered his question in person because he gives that kind of service. Which is super cool. I don't know what the answer was. I didn't ask him.
I will tell you what it'll be.
Okay.
You're going to get free models.
All right, free models. I'm there.
You're going to get, for every 20 points you spend, probably in exemplars, you're going to get
UA or a solo. Yeah.
I'm sure. And then +1 to your starting die roll. That's my guess.
You don't think of the extra deployment zone?
No, I don't think so. For the simple fact that they have some errants that AD anyway.
They do have errants at AD, so good point. Good point. Fair +1 starting roll is probably a more fair way to handle that.
Yep. I think that's what's going to happen. Is for every 20 points you spend in errants, you're going to get a solo for free, be the UA or whatever, and then +1 to starting die roll. There's always a third thing.
Jax will probably get something interesting out of it. Just usually give something to the Jax or something because you got to take some. Maybe Jax will get cleave or something like that. Who knows?
Oh, fuck that. Oh my god. A Jack getting cleave?
It's the kind of thing I could see coming in a theme list.
It will allow you errants, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. So that's our speculation on it. Well, I guess you're more of a Menoth player than I am.
No, that's the pattern of theme lists. If you look at all the theme lists, they're all take 20 to 25 points of X, Y, and Z, and you get A, B, and C.
Well, that's a good one. I don't think we have a question on that. Is that actually making theme lists boring, or is it making them easier to balance?
I'm gonna go with balance.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you right now, if there's some stuff I could take and strike off too with Legion of Steel, especially character jacks, I would do it. Like a Beast 09 with strike off 2 in that list would just be balls fun.
Fair enough, fair enough. So that's that. The big question, and we alluded to this a little bit in the preamble, was from Congo the Drumagun, is have theme list applying to all casters, for most factions, killed list creativity? What do you think, Gonzo?
I gotta kind of agree, because every time I put in a caster, example, Legion of Steel. Legion of Steel builds the same way no matter what. It's either 1 or 2 units of Iron Fang Pikemen, a unit of cavalry, a couple of jacks, and then all the solos and the Great Bears. And all I do is just pop in and out the caster, and maybe have to change the jack points up a little bit just because of the jack points that each caster brings. So, yeah, it kind of does. I don't see any difference between an Iris 2... Okay. The only difference between my Iris 2 list and my Strike Off 2 list in Legion of Steel is Iris 2 has 2 Kodiaks, and my Strike Off 2 has a Kodiak and a Juggernaut.
Fair enough. Now, I wanted to ask you first because since I've only been playing Mercenary and Minions since theme lists come out, I don't feel like I have a fair answer because I don't have that option. Both of mine actually limit the casters you can take in it. Obviously in Minions it's only, since I only have Blind Water and Thornfall, it's literally just, can you take Gators or can you take Pharaoh? But Mercenaries, Kingmaker has a very limited selection of people. Obviously the Cephalix one's only Cephalix, and obviously the Dwarf one's only Dwarves. And I'm sure when the Pirate one comes out, it will only be Pirates.
Yep.
And I feel I need to play some Retribution or Circle to get an idea about that, but I do feel like it is potentially a problem with theme lists. I feel like they could probably balance them even better if they don't just let every caster go in there. Now, maybe for the main factions, you go, okay, maybe not every caster, but there's a handful where maybe that just doesn't fit their theme. Like, Connie B in Heavy Metal and Signar does not seem like it fits. That's
No.
not really her way. So maybe you don't let her in that. Now, are you really hurting her? Maybe not, but maybe there's a caster who it doesn't fit, but would really like to play it. You know, I'm not saying like a Darius, but let's say a Striker 2. Maybe you don't let Striker 2 or 3 in there, but you know, those are guys who would really like to play that list potentially, and might lose out a bit. But I don't think that's going to happen at this point. I think they're too far invested in making theme lists for every caster. I guess just, like I said, easy balance. And we'll see how it ends up. I don't think it's going to end up being a major hang-up, but I do think it's going to continue to be a little bit of stagnation on lists.
I I think so too. Until they do the one where it's only Grey Lords, and the only Grey Lord casters we have are Zakover 1 and 2, or only Black Clads. Until they start getting that.
Well, almost all the Circle Warlocks are Black Cads, so they could actually say only Black Clads. Like, all right, no Chromax and I think someone else. You're like, that's probably okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you can't take Chromac into it and who else, but everybody else is pretty much a Black Cad. So until they say only XYZ, I think that's going to be.
Yeah, I really wish they would have done a little more thinking about that, but yeah, that's right, Clockwork Jester. Grail is also not a Black Clad.
Did I say Karchev was a Grey Lord? If I did, I apologize.
Maybe he is. Was he a Grey Lord back in the day?
He actually is a Grey Lord Warcaster. Holy balls.
See, there you go. You got two. They can make it. I mean, I don't feel like you can make a theme list off of two casters. Thank you, Cephalix. But I think you could probably make one off of three. Thank you, Dwarves. Like I said, I'd love to see them break it down a little more. Like Retribution, I think I mentioned this last week. Retribution feels like it could have a better divide in that. You could really split up like, all right, these guys can play in this theme list, these guys can play in this theme list, and everyone can play in this other theme list. I feel like you could do something like that, but that may be more work than they really want to do for theme lists. Because it would be a lot of work, because it's a lot of setting up, and it may be more possible in the future with the CID, with us helping them out with playtesting, but that's a little ways away.
Yeah, I mean, it all just... The problem is it all lends to... You're going to take all Iron Fang, Pikeman, and Legion of Steel. You're not going to take anything else. You're not going to take... Because you ruin what bonus points you get.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no point in taking anything else. You just take that points. So I mean, you're stuck. I mean, you are. Okay, so if I take Arse 2 with my Legion of Steel, now I can deal with Pathfinder and seeing through trees and all the other stuff. And all my models are tough within 10 inches of them, and they all can't be knocked down. Cool.
In some ways, it almost feels like we're back to square one, you know? Where theme lists become the default, and playing out a theme becomes a huge disadvantage. Now, I don't think it's ever going to be a huge disadvantage, but there are some where you can build a pretty good list, and it's a heck of a disadvantage.
Well, I mean, then that's actually kind of one of our questions we got coming up.
Yes, it is. Where is that one? Here we go, Chris Epperly. Do fun creative list builds no longer have a future since theme lists don't apply to singular casters?
I'm a yes and a no on that. I'm a yes. If you're going to build in theme, there's usually one or two casters that are going to be played.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to build in theme, there's still some pretty cool stuff you can do. Arse 2 with the Man of Wars until the Man of War theme list comes out. Did I just say that? Damn it.
Yeah. But until that happens, yeah, absolutely. I actually feel like what really bit them in the ass with theme lists, and they might have to change later, is mercs going from friendly to friendly faction with so many abilities. That would be a good reason to play out a theme. If
Correct.
IN and Halt were back to friendly for harm, you'd be like, I kind of want IN and Halt, but I really want to play theme. And now you have
Yeah.
to make an actual decision. And hopefully we'll get there, because I feel like that could be a good fix. So even in Hordes, I mean, Brigands are pretty crazy good, and you can't play them in themes, so you have to be like, is it worth playing the theme when I can't have Brigands who happen to fit this particular build amazingly?
I mean, because I really, really want to play Commandos with Strike Off 2, but I look at it and, as I play a tournament, I'm going to play Strike Off 2 in theme because it's too powerful not to.
Yeah, you're losing too many abilities. And
Yeah.
I feel like that might end up being the actual problem we have. Now, I won't have as many of the problem because mercenaries don't have that same problem right now. Though, listen to the chat on mercenaries. That I haven't played Kingmaker yet, but apparently everyone's like, is that powerful enough to not play Kingmaker?
Kingmaker's pretty stupid good.
Yeah. I mean, trenchers are good. There's a lot of cool abilities you could have in there, but I'm a little worried. Like I don't know if you heard when I talked about going to the tournament, to the first one of Star Wars. I came out having a great time, but more worried about where War Machine is than ever before.
I hear that.
Yep.
It's in a strange spot because theme lists are really powerful, and not everybody has a theme list or the 3 choices of theme lists, and then they keep bringing them out. If there was not theme lists, I believe that Crix would still be having a problem because Ghost Fleet is so stupid good, and you'd have people still complaining about Crix. Then you would still have people playing random Kador lists. You wouldn't be going, oh, I know there's going to be a Legion of Steel there. Oh, I know there's going to be a Fianna 2 list there. So, I mean, if we didn't have themes, and some people play tournaments that like no themes allowed, which is interesting.
I feel like that should be an option in the Steamroller packet.
Some TOs do it anyway. They're like, no theme list allowed. Fine.
Yeah.
I can play without it.
We actually had a little bit of discussion of Mercs, basically on Ashlyn. Is it worth it to play Ashlyn since she can't play in a theme? And it seems terrible to say that, especially considering, mercenaries are so limited. There's only a handful of guys who can be played in theme. It seems really crazy to ask that, but it is a fair point.
Yeah. Because she's got some cool stuff.
Yeah. She's very cool. I enjoy the heck out of playing her, but would it be better just to drop one of the casters who can play in either a Dwarf caster or a Cephalix caster, even though their theme's not that good? Still, it's a theme.
Yeah.
And that, or Kingmaker. It's,
I could see people saying only one theme list allowed.
Yeah, that might be
I can
interesting.
see people saying no theme list allowed.
But that'll be on the community to see how it ends up. Oh. Gonzo's having technical difficulties.
Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's going to all depend. Right now, theme lists are just way too powerful not to take. When I can get 12 extra free points, I'm going to take 12 extra free points.
Oh yeah, apparently I'm playing Cephalix all wrong. Everyone plays as many drudges as humanly possible, and then gets 2 free units of Cephalix Overlords, which is like 16 free points. And it's just, here's a million dudes, can you kill them all? And most lists nowadays say, no, I cannot.
But, as the Stu just showed, I don't know if anybody caught up with it, Troop Machine is back. Everybody played a crapload of troops.
That's kind of good. It's kind of good. It shows that, that it is still a viable way of playing. Though I feel, of course, the competitive meta will overreact with a ton of anti-troop stuff.
I think you're going to see like an anti-troop list and a Jack Heavy list or a Beast Heavy list.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a combo.
All right. Well, to make this easier on you, I'm going to go to the next question in order.
Whoop.
Stephen Halterman asked a couple questions. He said, themes list for War Machine Hordes may seem very restrictive or boring currently. However, if each faction ends up with 5, 6, 7, 10 plus theme list options, will that reopen diversity in lists? I'd say absolutely yes. If they end up with, between 5 and 10 theme lists, there'll be plenty of diversity as long as they're careful with the balance of them, but it will mean that non-theme lists will be all but dead at that point.
If we get, example, going back to my motherland, guys, we've got 3 theme lists already, and we know we're getting a Man of War theme list. That's 4. That's actually a pretty good diversity of how I want to play it, because I really want to play a Man of War theme list. I hope it's good. Everybody, I'm not going to doubt that it isn't. But, I mean, it's going to be, okay, which list am I going to play based on where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
Tournament-wise, because if I'm going to go to a place that plays, a lot of Jack spam, I'm going to take an anti-Jack list and then something else. But if I'm going to be playing, if I don't know it, I've got to bring a random group.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if we get that far. I don't think we'll get past 4 or 5 themes each, with the exception of Mercenaries Minions, who might trend up a little higher, just because they'll have more restrictions on it.
Yeah.
I mean, for Christ's sakes, Mercenaries is going to have to get to probably 5 theme lists just to get all of the casters in one of them. But we'll see how that goes. I do think it would help list diversity, but not outside of theme. Outside of theme would pretty much just go away, which is, I think, all of our biggest worry right now.
I have a feeling that theme lists are going to be prevalent in almost everybody. Until everybody gets about 4, you're going to see everybody having 1 to 2 theme lists in every faction they play. I mean, Khador, I'm playing 2 theme lists pretty much nonstop.
Yeah, on the other hand, I'm only playing theme with Cephalix because I have to.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't have any other casters in theme, but I'm not really playing a caster who can go in theme. I guess I could play Ostrom in theme, but it's very, very restrictive. It is funny that I feel like the mercenary themes are more what I thought themes would be in general, but they end up being the exceptions rather than the rule.
I think that we're going to see that everything is going to be in theme. Very few things are not going to be in theme from here on out.
Well, I guess the best follow-up question to that, is that okay?
Yes and no. Uh-oh. Looks like video's going.
Uh-oh.
There it goes. Coming back. I think that's good and bad. If we all go to theme, we all know where everybody's going to be playing, which is going to vary on list diversity, but it's going to help tournament-wise because everything's going to be balanced based on that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, list creativity is just going to go to the poop.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of net deck because once you have a theme, there's only so many builds that make the most efficient use of points, and this
Correct.
Building your list is a numbers game, so we'll see how that ends up. Draco's Dragoon does say he's been running 1 theme and 1 non-theme recently in Trolls and having good results with the non-theme list, so there's still a place. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But is it going to continue if you get to 4 or 5 theme lists?
Like I said, when I'm building my Khador list, I look at what's going to be out there, and I think about what type of casters are going to be up against, and which ones I have a problem with. Right now, Ghost Fleet is a problem with Khador, so I look at what list can handle Ghost Fleet. Zerkova 2 and all the Grey Lords.
Oh, yeah.
Or
that list also handles infantry spam, doesn't it?
It does. The problem is it has no way. Once feat's done, it's done. So you either wreck the crap out of everything, or you just pray that everything works out your way.
So Alpha Strike for the win, huh?
Yes. That's the reason why. I go with my Karchev list. All right, so I need to take care of that battle engine. well, I'll just go and pop feet early and take care of that battle engine, so I don't have to worry about it. Because no good, I've hardly ever seen any Correct player attack with the battle engine once it's up,
Mm.
just to give all the negatives and bonuses.
Yep. And Morton Joe, one of my locals, says that his Darius list that I teched against with Cephalix is decent, and it is, but it also might be more decent, or might be a build of it that can be more decent in theme, since, I mean, he started off with two Centurions and a Stormclad. I was like, well, that is some shit. How do I kill that? And I'm like, oh, I bring my Cephalix back out because Wreckers don't care about shields and shit.
Well, yeah, so playing against I was playing against my Ret player, and I played my Card list was Jack Spam, and he was playing heavy armor, 2 units of Sentinels, and he did pretty decent about it. But he had to figure out a way to kill all the Jacks, and he had to go in waves. He had to send half of the Sentinels up to kill something, half of the Sentinels up to kill something else.
Yep. I have the same problem with Hammer Dwarves a lot of times.
Especially when the new battle engine comes out and they can shit them out for you.
So, let's tangent over to that for a second. Well, I think that's an interesting ability. I actually don't like it.
I don't think you're going to see it that often, just because it's kind of...
It forces you into bringing units that you may not normally bring in order to get maximum effectiveness, which I don't think is necessarily a horrible problem in that particular battle engine's case, but I hope they don't do it too often.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to build towards it, and then you also have to bring it up within the zone that you need it. Because you got to put it within, 3 inches of the model, and blah, 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 and then it can't have a combat action, so you got to be careful with it.
Well, it gets command range. Its command range is 10, so...
Oh, it can be dropping with command range?
Yeah. But it has to be in the unit within 3 inches of the guy or something like that, I think. I didn't look at all the details. I said, oh, it's kind of cool. None of the lists that I've had a battle engine in has had a fucking... I mean, maybe I could throw one into a unit of artillery. Like, hey, here, artillery, have some reinforcements. Do your thing.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see it that often, though.
No, but to be fair, I feel like it is an extra, cherry on top ability, because I almost thought the battle engine was worth it before they made it, 40 boxes, and they made it 40 boxes, and I'm like,
oh, yeah.
That's probably okay. But back to, Gary W.C. Smith says, what does this battle engine do? Well, the Dwarf battle engine actually can add D3 models back to a unit, back to a Rulic unit that's had models killed.
So it poops dwarfs.
It poops dwarves. So apparently they got both types in there ready to go. Like, oh, high shields went down. Send some high shields out. Oh, some hammer dwarves went down. Send some hammer dwarves out. Oh, tactical Arcanist Corps went down. We got one of those. Kick his ass out. But where are these dwarves coming from? I mean, I guess maybe the idea is they run out and they grab the gear, but it doesn't make as much sense for the tactical Arcanist Corps. It is.
They have warp technology, all right?
Oh.
Don't tell anybody.
So these are the squats, right?
Yes, these are the squats.
Excellent. I always love squats. Where's my Gravitron guns?
Which probably will be coming out next a month or so.
Yeah. I mean, they already had steampunk squats. But back to main topic. Stephen Halterman actually had a follow-up, and this is a long one.
Oh my god.
Do you remember this one?
No.
Okay. So he says, if a company like Preptorus is headed in the aforementioned direction, meaning between 5 and 10 theme lists, where the number of models and theme lists reopens diversity on a larger scale than we see currently, how would you personally handle the PR side of the issue without spoiling future information and or causing players to quit while they wait for all of the other theme lists to become available? And he gives some options on that. We'll deal with those in a second. Holy moly, there is no way to deal with that on a PR side other than the old cryptic trust us, we're working on things.
I mean, personally, I think they should have brought out everybody gets one theme list.
Gonzo?
Oh, my mic. Personally, I think they should have brought out everybody gets one theme list. Then everybody gets two theme lists. Then everybody gets three theme lists, and then everybody gets four. That way, I don't want to say it's fair and balanced, but that it does that.
Yeah, it at least has the illusion of fairity.
Yeah,
Fairness. I'm not sure farity's a word.
we're making a word. Farity is a new one.
Oh, farity. I'm making more words. Yeah, I mean, there's cryptic's the only way. He goes on to say, would you wait to release all the theme forces at one time? Holy moly, that would make players' heads explode. Because he goes on to say, and completely overwhelm the player base for several years. I'm like, that would probably be the last thing I would do.
No,
Unless I actually had the opportunity to play test everything and did it in sort of the, hey, here's all your books at once.
I would have, like I said, I would have done the thing where everybody got one or two theme lists, and everybody got it, and then brought them out sporadically. I'm like, all right, everybody's theme list, here it is, CID, test out all these theme lists.
Yep, his other option was release a few at a as they've been being done currently, a few at a time with plans for CID testing to ensure fewer imbalances in the game. Yeah, like Gonzo's way, I think is probably the best way. Just make sure everyone at least gets the illusion of it being completely fair. It doesn't matter if the theme lists balance out amongst each other. You might have, paper, rock, scissors come out as theme lists, but as long as each faction is getting a theme list, that's what your second list is for. If you've got rock and some other places got paper, you're like, I don't drop that against that faction. And that would actually have probably made theme lists more balanced in the beginning because there are time and place to drop them, so you're actually forced to actually make your non-theme list and make it good.
I think that was the best. I think that should have been how it was, is everybody got one or two theme lists, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't think they were quite prepared for what they were doing. Honestly, I think that their size-wise PP is at a point where they're not big enough to do what they need to do, so they're trying to make do with what they got. And doing a decent job right now. I mean, the CID is awesome, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not complaining at all. I mean, personally, I think they should have done that, but right now everybody's all happy. I mean, Trolls just got a new theme list. They're working on the Bane theme list, so I mean, everything seems to be copacetic. I don't think anybody's have a huge problem besides, hey, where's my next theme list coming out?
Yeah, exactly. So, Nora and Richard wants to know, what do you guys want to see in a theme list for each faction?
Twitch.
Go with Kador. I know what you want.
I mean, we're definitely getting a... Oh, curse. John comes in and now the video feed screws up. Jerk. I definitely know we're getting a Man of War, but I do want to see... and we're offline.
Really?
I do want to see a Grey Lord list. Yeah, I'm going to refresh it and see if it comes back up.
Keep that in mind.
John. What a turd knocker. He comes in and the video feed goes out. I really want to see a Grey Lord list, and I definitely know we're getting Man of War, so I'm okay.
Awesome. Are we looking good still?
I'm trying to check it out. All right, we're back.
Okay, cool. So yeah, Man of War theme list sounds awesome. I'm actually hoping for mercenaries for a Lael Resistance or Defenders of Lael or something like that to get some of the casters who haven't had a chance to get a theme list yet in there. Some cool stuff you can do in there. They actually have a lot of the units and solos that I want to use a bunch of. So,
going on what you just said, what I would really like to see, not just a Grey Lord list, a Man of War list, I want to see fluff theme lists, based off of big battles that happened in the game.
Mm-hmm. Like,
or in the stories.
Kador 5th Border Legion list.
Correct. Something like a 5th Border would be really, really cool.
I actually feel like in my heart of hearts, that's probably what I wanted theme lists to be initially.
Yeah.
If you will, closer to the Kingmaker, a little further from, say, Iron Legion or what have you. But I don't actually think what they made is bad. It's just weird to have that sort of imbalance, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean... sorry, I'm getting dinner.
That's okay.
Because I was running late and didn't get a chance to eat.
So was I.
I really would like to see fluffless more than just modelless.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what this game needs is more fluffy, less crunchy.
Rich, I would not be surprised if we did get that, where we got a list that gave 8 boxes of Champs and Warders. But I think it would be very restrictive.
Yes. But I'd be okay with that, because
Yeah.
that sounds fine. I mean, heck, you give me a Merc list that gives Ogre and Assault Core 8 boxes back, I'm in.
Minotron, you already have Halberdiers that are faster. Shut up.
Yeah. Unless you're talking steel at Halberdiers, in which case, yes, I agree. For Circle, I'm not really sure what I'd want to see, because they've got more open theme lists, but I haven't really given much thought. Same with Retribution. Their theme lists are pretty open. But Minions, man, I would love to see a Minions list that is a good, weird, eclectic mix of stuff. But that's what goes to the fact I want to see a Minions battle box that has a caster who can use either or beasts.
Oh, that would be super cool if they had like a minion caster you could use pigs and gators.
Yeah, I mean, and on my cursory look, it wouldn't be broken. The most broken you could get would be giving a Warhog Rage and sending him in. But we've already got Primal, so it's not like Rage is... I mean, Rage is 2 less mat and 1 more strength with no Frenzy. It's not completely out of the question. And you could really limit what his spells are so that it doesn't totally break the world. I would love to see that. But like I said, for a main faction, it's really hard. Like, it's really difficult to see... Why is my Alexa going off in the background? That is crazy. Alright, sorry. But yeah, it's hard to think of what you'd want to see with them because they're so, if you will, open in general.
Going back, because I mean, I'd like to see Convergence get a better theme list. And one theme list I would like to see for Convergence is one that uses the medium-based units a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just jack spam.
Yeah, we can give them 8 boxes back.
Guards.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you don't have to give them 8 boxes. Give them,
they have 8 boxes still.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they do. That was the joke. I'm sorry.
Oh, I have no clue about Convergence.
Yeah, they.
But do it like the unit gets AD or advanced move.
Yes. Well, that actually brings me to something I want to talk about. And this is, do you think the couple of theme lists out there, and as a KOTOR player you have one of them, that remove AD from models is okay?
Yes. Because not everybody plays with AD.
Fair,
and
but...
a lot of people play a lot of lists with AD.
But is it fair for a unit that has technically paid for AD to no longer have that in addition to you getting the bonus points? This is no longer affecting your own army. This is, I have my whole plan. Maybe I've got this list that's infantry heavy, but I got AD and regular deployments so that I can fit it all. And suddenly it's like, I have to change every fucking thing I do because they gave you a rule that is meta. That's sort of the problem I have. What's that? Fuck me.
Fuck up. No, I get what you're saying. And that's the reason why Jaws of the Wolf is played. For the simple fact of Circle. Because Circle has a lot of AD with all the mannequins, and mannequins are a pain in the ass.
It's also a good Wormwood answer because he ADs and you can back them off.
Correct. And that's the reason why these Jaws of the Wolves are like, well, screw it, I'm not going to play that.
But yeah, it just feels, when you're making a list and you're looking at it, you're like, it feels wrong. It's a little too meta. It's like, well, technically, it's like having an army where you'd like, no enemy model gets tough, where you do it on some other way. Obviously, all your models get takedown or whatever. But they haven't quite done it to that extent, but it'd be like the same thing.
I think, though, no models getting tough is pushing a little too far.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably the next level. Or no models get Pathfinder.
Yeah. I mean, because then you look at your troll player like, you're a fuck troll player.
Suck it!
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be no good. Or pig player, too. Pigs actually all have tough now, and that would be painful for them.
Yeah, but I mean, really, to me, it says fuck you to the troll player, because not a lot of people play with AD, but there is a decent amount. And if you know that there's going to be someone that plays Jaws, because I think that's the only theme list right now that does it, right?
There's a Legion one, too.
Oh, is there a Legion one also?
Yep.
I think I see with Legion now is Abby, or Fiona too. So,
And, and,
um,
and I understand the idea they're trying to give with it. It just feels like they took it a step too meta. It's like the Kalissa theme list where it was like, oh, you can't run first turn. Like,
oh,
the fuck? Is that okay? Because, hint, that was not okay. Gunmage brings up a good point. His Eridus Soldier with Speed 3 feels only viable because AD. That's exactly true. They are only viable because AD, because they're... I mean, literally, they run first turn, and they're back where they would have started deploying. And he's like, facing a theme list which already plays a bunch of points up, and have my Speed 3 starting extensions back kind of sucks. And I totally agree, that sort of thing. I feel like it may be... it is a further step they could probably take right now, and I wish they would back off of it. I don't think they will for a while, but I feel like they should. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth, and more than any other thing, it completely changes someone. It could take someone completely out of their game.
uh-oh.
Because you know how people like to have their, this is my setup, this is my first movement, more or less. I've got it all set, so I'm not spending extra time unpacking and doing all this stuff. This stuff has to work this way in order for my list to work, and then it's like, oh, I don't get that. Well, that's kind of balls.
Yeah, I don't.
Uh-oh.
Our feed's still going okay, guys?
It looks good here.
Okay.
We did drop a couple frames.
Oh, okay. My video went crazy. I don't think losing AD is as bad as losing tough.
No. It's I made the next level statement. Trial for Pathfinder seems like the next level statement of, well, that'd be kind of crazy. How about you models lose ghostly?
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, Crix would probably no.
Crix does that anyway.
That's
what
fair.
Are you talking about?
That's fair.
Crix whines at everything.
Just like I said, I'm interested to see where they go with that. I hope they don't go any further than that, because I feel like that might be literally a bridge too far.
Yeah.
Well, that was some good. Do you have any other theme list related topics while you're trying to shovel food in your mouth?
I really, like I said, I really want to see theme lists that are based off of fluff, not based off of models. Like I said, the 5th Border Legion would be kind of cool. Stuff based on that. I really want to see more Merc theme lists. I'd like to see some more Convergence theme lists. And theme lists that aren't just so, I take every Iron Fang pikeman.
Less cookie cutter theme lists where there's obviously, 1 or 2 correct builds. Cephalix, for example. Well, you either take this amount of infantry, so you get the 1 for unit, and then you take, more of the monstrosities, or you take all the infantry and get the 2 free units and have less monstrosities. It seems every time I look, there's really only 2 ways to build it. Though, to be fair, that is a byproduct of Cephalix having such a small selection of models to use.
Correct. I mean, it would be neat to say, okay, we're going to bring Strike Off, and Strike Off is doing his nighttime assault commando sneaky list, and it's all right. You can take models that have stealth, and you can take commandos because he used them during this one battle of blah blah blah.
And then you can take some of these other things that don't have stealth that, or even better, you want to go like all models with stealth get AD or something like that, or if they have AD, get advanced move, since some of them have that, Some cool stuff attacking at night type of thing. Yeah, there's lots of cool abilities they can do there. I just don't know if they're willing to go, if you will, old school GW on it. Because that feels sort of like some of those old school GW lists where they were hyper restrictive in what you could take, but they had such cool and flavorful abilities.
Yeah.
Old chapter approved days. But yeah, so theme lists are here to stay, guys. We don't know if they're going to be super balanced, but as long as you have one you can play, I feel like you'll be at least have a relatively balanced list versus most people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got a little bit of time before we hit the movie section. I forgot to ask if you saw Guardians, but I'm going to assume you did.
I did not get a chance to see Guardians. I was going to see it today. I didn't get a chance because we had some family coming in town, and we had to cancel it. So no, I did not. So spoilers, or I will punch you in the throat.
Would I do that to you, Gonzo?
No, but I know everybody else.
Yeah. No.
No, no,
We,
I know everybody.
we actually are good at talking no spoilers. We had lunch with Centervale this week, and he had not seen it, so we did not spoiler for him. We talked around it, and then we had a whole role-playing session with Bowie, and he had not seen it either, so we talked around things a lot. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I was looking forward to seeing a list based off Guardians of the Galaxy, but I guess I have to wait a week for that.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Overall, I think PB has to restrict what can be taken comboed to making models. Yeah, absolutely. The breadth of models is becoming an interesting problem, and the theme list will help curtail that to a point. All right, so let's see if we have another question. Try to see if we got a.
We got all of them?
We got all the theme list ones. There's some competition type ones we could answer, but I think that's
Oh yeah.
that's
Go for it.
another. You want to go for that?
Go for it. We got
All
about,
right.
what, 8 minutes?
Oh, we got like fucking 15 minutes, easy.
Sweet. Go for it. I love competition stuff.
All right, Crimson. Whereas let's go with Peter Tobin's. It's pretty good. He says, "Is War Machine a competition-driven game in your opinion?"
Yes.
It is, unfortunately, because, and there's no necessarily one reason why, but the biggest reason why is because PP did not sort of embrace that rather than going with the broad spectrum, fluffy, fun, crazy stuff like GW did in its early days.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is everybody, that's what the meta is about. The meta is about the competition. The meta is about the tournaments. The meta is about building the best list. How many podcasts talk about building fun and fluffy lists and terrain for Privateer Press, for War Machine Hordes?
Half?
I mean, how many of the podcasts out there that a lot of people like to listen to are about building the competition list, finding the competition things, finding the perfect combos, how to deal with XYZ,
All but a half.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many. The thing is it's a competition game, and it's okay to be a competition game. It's how you handle it and how you play as a competition player. I think that's the kicker that a lot of people forget.
Yeah, and I think the wonderful thing about War Machine that I hope never goes away about it is that it can be played both hyper competitively and just absolutely casually. It doesn't require a lot of excess stuff. I mean, I feel I'd like to see more fun scenarios. Would help that a little bit, but like Extreme Colossal Wrestling. You go from Extreme Colossal Wrestling to, let's say old school hardcore. You've got the entire breadth of how you can play this game in that whole area.
Yeah, I mean, and you can still be... Okay, I run the Old Man Tournament at War Machine Weekend, and it is nothing but a objective type tournament. Do this thing, you get this many points. Do this thing, you get this many points. And it satisfies my hardcore players that are in the Old Man Tournament, and also satisfies, the old mans that just want to roll dice and bullshit with each other.
Yep.
I mean, because one of my objectives was to go up to Carl and tell him he had beautiful eyes, I think is what it was. So you had to find Carl Morgan, walk up to him and say he had beautiful eyes, and he would sign off on the sheet, and you got your points. But then there was one where throw a model and knock down 3 or more models within one throw. That's actually not, depending on how you throw it, it's something you got to do. You got to look at it.
That is a challenge, sir.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I mean, it's good. I like to see where it is, but it is always going to be competitive driven. It's just a matter of not letting it overwhelm all other facets of the game. And so here's Crimson 1919. His is actually similar. A little longer. He says, lately, ever since moving to a city with a very competitive meta, I've been having to think long and hard about exactly how competitive I want to be what attitude I should approach the game with, and how much time I should studying, prepping for tournaments, etc. I mean, I always want to get better, but I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that coming from the hardcore casual perspective.
Um, my actually meta is actually pretty hardcore, but we're all really relaxed. So I understand the hardcore competitive type part.
Mm-hmm.
Talk with them and see how your friends are, because like I said, you can still be super hardcore and play the hard list and be the hardcore player and not be a douche. I mean, if they're going to be a douche while they're being hardcore, that's not me. Get with whoever you're playing with, whoever the group is, and see if you mesh with them personality wise, and see if you're going to do that, and then get in and start playing. And if you feel like you don't want to be a hardcore badass,
then don't.
Be a hardcore fun badass.
Yep. Well, this actually goes further into a subject that's near and dear to my heart that I have several articles half written for various websites or in the past, and that is the gamer social contract. The good thing about War Machine is that Steamroller means you can walk up to a room, you say, I want to play Steamroller, and they know what you're playing. But outside of that, there are levels to that, and you have to talk with your opponent. Are you going to play the hardest of the hard, or do you just want to try out something kooky, and you just want the Steamroller or do you just want to play non-Steamroller so you get an idea how this thing plays without all the extra, things to worry about, get used to playing it, and then you'll go further? Or is it just something you never feel is going to be worth Steamroller? That's conversations you have to have in a game, and I feel like this sounds horrible, but I feel like Steamroller's taken that away from us so much. We use that sort of as a crutch to come in and go like, yeah, I want to play Steamroller, and then just play as hard as you can. He might be playing something kooky, and you just crush, maim, spindle, get out of here, and not thinking about, maybe you did it wrong. Maybe you should have talked more about how he was trying to play.
I mean, Congo makes a good point, and we actually bring it up when we have a lot of new players. He's saying, to start with, are you fine with me playing the over-the-top tournament list?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime we have a new player and they're learning the game, I was like, well, what do you want to see? Do you want to see just a normal list? Do you want to see over the top tournament list? Do you want to see, something silly I'm working on to see if it actually works? That's actually not a bad idea to talk about with your friends, especially if you're new to a meta. Says, hey, what do y'all usually play? If they're like, oh, we're hardcore tournament players. Like, okay, now you know what type of list you need to build. But also get with your meta and get with your group of people. You're a team, so when y'all go to tournaments, especially if y'all go as a group, you need to work as a team and help each other out, because even though you may have one guy that's a super badass, a good super badass guy will come and go, hey, your list needs some tweaking. Here's what I would do, and let's test it out and see if it works and see if it works for you.
Mm-hmm. And that's really important. I mean, because honestly, it doesn't have to be just with random people. You can come into your locals and go, oh, hey, you're trying a tournament list. Do you want an average matchup? Do you want me to bring 2 lists? Or do you want me to drop something that would be a horrible matchup for you, knowing full well you're playing that list so you can learn how to get out of something like that? There's so many ways you can go with that.
Mike Crick's player. They're one of my Crick's players. Really nice guy. Love him to death. Really good friend of mine. And I look at him and I'm like, drop Ghost Fleet. I need to see if I can crush it. Drop Ghost Fleet. I think every single time I've played him, it's Ghost Fleet. And he knows it because we're a tournament type group. And he knows I'm going to see it. And I go, I need to figure out how to beat it. Drop Ghost Fleet. Drop Ghost Fleet. But he's got he's willing to do that because he knows that that's a list that Kador has a problem with.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but it's good. I mean, if you're helping everyone get better, you got to do that. The end point is you have to talk to your opponent in any game. Any game you play to, what kind of game are we playing? Let's just, if you will, set the ground rules. I've had problems playing Infinity players in the past where they come out and they are the super most stickler for, well, that's more of, just less than a 30-year model in cover, so you don't get cover from that. And I'm like, all right, I actually don't want this game. This is not what I'm looking for. There are levels of precision that you have to give people sometimes. Sometimes, but you need to know that kind of game beforehand. And I partially blame myself for not making it clear. I don't want that super nitpicky game to begin with.
Yeah.
But if you make it clear, maybe you go off like, well, I'm looking for that level game. Well, let's just find other people to play then. No hard
Yeah.
feelings. There's no downside. Just, hey, we both agree that we want different things from a game, so we'll just go separate ways.
Prime example, I was playing against my friend that's a Crooks player, and I looked at him and says, "Hey, practice for tournaments. Um, I think I have assassination on Denegra right now. I'd like to test to see if it works, and if it doesn't work, can we back it up, just not move the models, and just continue like I never did that, just so we can continue playing the game, because if I don't get it, I lose." And he's like, "Yeah, that's fine." So we just move one model, put it down. I missed the assassination by, a pretty decent amount. It says, "Okay, that's not going to work." Everything's reset to that point, and we keep on playing the game. It's like, all right, not going to try that assassination ever again.
Yep. Well, or was it Bowie was playing one of our other locals, and we completely forgot that Obliterator rockets have arcing fire. And so, 2 Obliterator rockets later, Nemo's dead, and they're like, alright, let's re-rack.
Mm-hmm.
And he had learned from that then. But he could be willing to do that, But they both knew they were tournament play. They were testing tournament lists for somewhat seriousness, so there was no saltiness. Just like, I totally forgot they can do that. Let's re-rack and go again.
Yeah, now that I know this, let me see what I can do different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really what you should do, especially if you're practicing for tournaments, getting ready for tournaments, is help each other out.
Mm-hmm.
Example, going for assassination. Well, I'm defense 19 right now. The best you can get is defense 7. You can hit a defense 15, no problem. Numbers, okay, can you get it? Yes, no. But if you come over here, you can get on the hill and you can see easier, blah, blah, blah. That's... If you kind of help each other out. I mean, especially your locals. You may be competing against them eventually, but your locals are your friends. They're who you're going to be playing with. Get along with them. Try to find something.
And honestly, making them better is going to make you better in the long run because it ups your level of competition, and that gets you better.
Correct.
In addition to the standard talk it through beforehand, the gamer social contract, as I like to call it, you need to come in afterwards and do the after-action report. Because maybe, they made some giant error in the middle of the game, but you didn't feel like that was the right time to tell them.
Correct.
Because sometimes to do something, I'm like, that's a huge error. And sometimes turn later, it's like, oh no, that was just some cunning new plan that actually did what he intended.
Yeah, or, your opponent is down on his luck and is, I can't tell with your card chip list. You've already taken out my 2 jacks. I'm like, no, you have an option. Bring your guys in waves. Do this, and I'm not going to guarantee you a win out of it, but you're going to survive longer and at least have a better shot than just giving up.
Yeah, unless it's like there are times it is okay at a point to go look at you and go like, do you feel like I have any reasonable chance of winning this game? If they say no, there's a good time to stop and re-rack. Or you stop and switch opponents with someone else who's waiting and get another game in. It's you don't have to fight them all to the end. I had one guy locally who used to be around who would get upset. I played a game and I was doing okay, but then 3 consecutive turns totally forgot the feat. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. Good game. I can't continue because I'm getting angry with myself and I'm going to take it out on you. And that's not fair.
I had that.
And he's like, no, you have to stay and play it out. I'm like, no, I actually don't.
No. I was getting a little salty. I was playing Jaws of the Wolf and was trying out, Chaos Assassins and just, all right, they're defense 17. And he was just balls rolling really good. And AoEs and our spray attacks and everything was just really getting good. And I was just like getting super frustrated. And I was like, I can't win this. And I was like, there's nothing I can do. And then he was like, all right. I went, wait a minute, let me try this. And I won, but it was pure luck that he was standing next to something that, I could get to. It was just, don't take it too seriously. If you're got a problem, get away from it. Go try something else. Do something different.
Yeah, if you get on tilt, sometimes you got to step back. Like I was playing against one of our locals. He's got the biggest heart and he tries really hard, but his luck is mediocre sometimes, and he things don't go his way often. But he's there and he's got max fin in on the snake, and I'm like, that's no problem. He's kind of bullshit, but whatever. We'll get through it. And I'm like, I'll just heal up his, body and all. And he's like, oh no, I got grievous wounds. And for some reason, that just completely tilted me. And I'm like, I cannot cognitively function right this moment. Because I am so irate at this little shit model that is taken out, way above its weight class. And things like that happen. And either you got to stop the game or you're going to have to get through it.
Yeah. I mean, just reset, say, or people that like, all right, let's play tournament style armies. I'm like, oh, I forgot to do this because I know this would help this. If the guy's like, no, you can't do that. In a friendly store match, testing out tournament lists, you might want to rethink who you're playing against.
Yeah. Or you might want to have that discussion at the beginning of the game next time you play him.
Yeah.
All right, look, I'm taxing for tournament. I'm going to do a couple takebacks if I do something completely stupid because I'm trying a new list.
No.
You got to make that clear between you.
Yeah, and just let that person know that, especially if you're a traveling team. We travel a lot to tournaments. We go everywhere we can. And so usually by second or third round, we're fighting each other, so it's not that big of a deal. But we all help each other. We're like, dude, you should not do that because you need 19s to hit on 3d6. That's a bad choice.
Or at least don't boost it. Your odds are better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But yeah, there's a lot in there, and communication is the key. And if you communicate with your opponent or whoever you're playing, you can get a lot of things out of the way. Maybe you're going to a tournament, and maybe this guy has a bad reputation. He's precise. I was precise. Make it at the beginning of the turn, like, all right, sir, I am not expecting any takebacks for you. I am also not even going to entertain the ideas for takebacks for you either. That's just, no hard feelings. I'm not angry. Look at my face. I'm smiling. It's all good. We're just going to play this game straight up. Yeah. Well, some tournament players, like I played a guy who moved his arc node. He put the 5-inch, widget down and did not touch my base and ended up 5 and a tiny bit outside of my model. And he's like, I'm going to go arc. I'm like, well, before you do that, did you mean to get within 5 inches? Because you totally didn't. And I told him beforehand.
And that's different. That could have been he looked over the table, and the table's a high table that he thought he was in.
Well,
so that's not that big of a deal to me.
Yeah, Mr. Crazy Eyes doesn't get the same kind of things back. Like, because I have, later in the game, I have hammer dwarves, and I thought they were in base, but they're really like a tiny bit apart. But from where I'm standing, they're totally in base. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, I meant those guys to be in base. Is that okay? He's like, no. I'm like, that's fine. Because you're not getting any more shit. That's the kind of thing, and you can't expect to take backs, but if you're going to get one from your opponent, you should probably try and be a little more lenient on the way back.
Well, yeah, I mean, like if I'm playing against a rep player and they've got sentinels, they're most likely going to be in base to base 99% of the time. And
sometimes you hit the table and the guys are a tiny centimeter apart. That's why I put them together like, if they're in this formation, the intent is that they're in base to base.
Yeah.
I will try to make it clear if they're not. Yeah, absolutely. Communication, like I said, it's the key.
Yeah. Don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche, yes. And treat the opponents the way you want to be treated in return, just like you would treating people in general. Because that's how they're going to do it, and you don't want to send the wrong message.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you can be a badass hardcore tournament player and not be a douche about it.
Absolutely.
There are plenty of them out there. There are plenty of top name players that are really cool, really fun, and really respectful. And then you got some that are like, no, fuck you, you can't do that. And you're like, okay.
Was it Brian White? I played him at a tournament. He was absolutely the most amazing guy I played. He was totally fair. He would help me out. He's like, oh, you can't quite make it there. You should probably back it up over here. I'm like, oh, I appreciate that. I thought I could make it, I explain to everyone when I go to the table, I have really shitty depth perception, especially the further away you get in an angle like that. Just keep that in mind.
It's a game.
Yes, it is a game. All right. Well, I think that was a good one. I mean, kind of got a little off topic from the original, but I think hopefully Crimson 1919 got a decent answer.
If not, come back. I'll give you another one.
Yeah, we'll give you more. We can talk about this for all day.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Um, Kim and I were really big on that. It's okay to be super competitive, but it's not okay to be a shithead.
Hmm. And some people take
That's a
A to
problem.
mean B, but it's not. It's not. A does not mean B. They're totally
No,
separate.
yeah,
You can be the nicest guy and competitive, and you can be super. We have a guy who's super uncompetitive, and he's still a douchebag.
yeah. I have a friend, love him to death, um, autistic, super number cruncher, and I was telling him, I says, "Hey, you need to watch your language because what you're saying is not cool." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I gave him an example. And so he's playing in a tournament, and he's playing this guy. He's like, "Oh, I'm not worried about that. You can't roll a 17 because I know you can't get the number." And he just starts quoting off, big numbers and starts quoting off percentages and so on and so forth. And I was like, "You're being a dick." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Even though you're saying this and everything, it's still very
Yeah.
douchey to say all this stuff." He's like, "Oh shit, I wasn't trying to be. I was just telling him what the percentage is." And I go, "Yeah, but that's it." And he got it. He was like, "Okay, I'll just shut up while I play and let him roll his dice."
Yep. And that may be the hardest part, dice. Whew. Well,
Yeah.
that's a discussion for another time. It is now time for us to jump into the media section.
Woo woo.
Gonzo, since you're going to surprise me, I'm going to let you start.
I actually did not get to watch a single movie this week. I was really mad at myself.
Oh my,
But
that was a bit.
I,
That you're right. That was a really busy week.
yeah. And I usually watch at least one movie just to
Mm,
give something good. Woohoo, I got Skype on my picture.
it's back. It'll be better.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
I actually put on. I'm a big Sense8 fan,
Hmm.
and so I watched 6 episodes of Sense8 right in a row. The new
That's
season
like watching a
2,
movie.
pretty much. Um, if nobody's watched it, if you haven't watched it,
I
I
have not.
highly recommend it. It hits on a lot of political themes because I have a really, really hard time with a lot of political things that are going on and the way people treat each other. And this show, while it brings me back to Hero season 1,
Okay.
uh, that type of superhero mentality, that type of super thing, it's got a lot of great things, but it has a good political message. But if you're easily offended or something easily scenes or sex or nudity has a problem, don't watch it.
So why don't you give us a capsule idea of what it's about? Because I honestly have no idea. I've seen one clip on YouTube, which was very cool, but I had no idea what was really going on besides black guy and small Chinese lady switching places and ass whoopings.
Um, the best way to do it without spoiling
Hmm.
is there's a group of people that are all interconnected through their consciousness,
Hmm.
and they're able to experience other people's life. And the different people, there's a cop, there's a drug addict, there's a transgender, there's a South African guy,
Hmm.
there's
I'm certain that's the guy I saw.
yeah, and that's actually a great scene.
It is a very cool scene. I love going to YouTube, seeing random stuff, and I'm like, that one piqued my interest. So
And that's pretty much what it is. I mean, it does deal with a lot of political things, and there's actually a few times on the show I was like extremely pissed off because of things that happened in it. But it's about 8 people that are interconnected and about their relationships, but having to deal with an outside organization that's trying to kill them.
fair enough.
So it's actually really good. Um,
So how good was season one? Since you've seen all of that, I assume.
Season 1 was really good. It starts off kind of slow because you're kind of like, what the hell's going on?
Hmm.
Daryl Hannah's in it, and it was interesting to see her in this show, especially the part that she plays. But by episode 4, you're completely hooked. And if you're not singing by episode 4, you got a problem.
Okay. How many
Um,
episodes are in season one?
I think there's 12, 13.
Okay.
And then they did a Christmas special. It was like a 2 hours, and then it led into season two. But I mean, it's done by the Wachowskis that did Matrix and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
So it's got a really good filming, really good production. Everything's done really well.
You didn't
I
mention
really
their
like it
best
a lot.
movie, Speed Racer.
Of course, Speed Racer. Which actually, I saw a clip of that. It was on some random channel as I was flipping around. I'm like, oh, if this was on a paid channel, I'd watch it. But no.
Oh, dude, it's my favorite movie they've done. I mean, I do love The Matrix too. I actually like a lot of their stuff, but that's my favorite. It just hit all the marks. But so, how many shots of Kraken for season 1 of Sense8?
Oh, zero to me. To
Excellent.
me, zero. I'm still halfway through season two, so
It sounds like maybe if you don't like the political stuff, it might require a couple shots of Kraken to get you through. But
yeah. But I mean, the thing is the political stuff is actually relevant today, and it's not forced down your throat. It's like, hey, some of these people, this is what they deal with on a day-to-day basis.
fair enough. I know nowadays sometimes that's a hot topic because people don't want to deal with it because it makes you sad. But
Yeah.
well, I watched a movie that actually did evoke some feels there in the end, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Ugh. So mad I didn't get to see that today.
I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but I'm going to tell you it is probably funnier than the first one, and not even all the jokes hit. There's a couple that maybe they forced a little bit. There's a ton of fan service, and at points it feels like maybe that's a little forced also. But neither of them actually detract significantly enough from the movie for me to take it down at all. The only thing that might detract from the movie is the middle section is a little slow, and I know there's two ways you think. It's like either this is going to be the ending or this is going to be the ending. And if you figure it out beforehand and you're convinced, it will be a little slow. You'll be like, all right, I know where you're going. Get to the point. But it is very good. From stuff from the previews, so it's no spoilers. Is Peter Quill, Star-Lord, does meet his father, played by Kurt Russell.
Which is a brilliant person to put.
Brilliant plan. They have great chemistry together.
Good.
In fact, every member of the Guardians of the Galaxy and their tangential, their tangential people get a decent amount of character development, except for Drax. But I feel like, and Creekins and I were talking about this earlier. We don't feel like there's anywhere he can really go, but he is still hilarious and still pertinent to it.
Okay.
But he doesn't have like his own character arc. He's just there being Drax, being hilarious. None of the scenes that you see in the previews, they're all a little more than you see there, so there's more to them, which is good. You know, the feelings scene, there's a little more to that, which is good. I liked everyone in it. Yondu is freaking amazing, and he's in a good portion of it. Everyone loves Michael Rooker.
Yes.
Did you know Sylvester Stallone has a cameo in it?
No.
He has a cameo. He's in it. He shows up. Kind of interesting. It's very fan servicey, but if you understand it, if you understand Guardians, or if you go back and there's tons of videos on YouTube explaining everything afterwards that you can watch, and that might help a little bit, especially if you're not into old Guardians lore, because they are not the most popular super team in the past. Let's say.
No, they're not.
No.
I don't think they even got popular until the movie came out.
No. Well, so in the '90s they were popular enough to get their own series again, and it lasted decently for a couple episodes or a couple issues, but sort of went downhill. And then they're one of those ones that just every so often, every couple of years, they get a reboot until the movie came out. Then they were big again. And there's joy to be gotten from those comics if you can find them. Heck, Comixology is great for that. But the movie is great. Lots of cool things if you're a comic fan. Some feels throughout it. Is done very well. Like I said, the only possible problems would be a little slow in the middle, but not even that slow. I didn't actually feel it was that slow, but I've heard some people say that. And some of the jokes miss the mark, and some of the fan service are like, you're going a little too far, maybe a little. Now, stay all the way through the credits because there are 5 post-credit stingers. 5 of
Yeah, I
them.
heard. I heard there was 5.
And they're all great.
Good.
They're all, man, like, they're not all necessarily pertinent. I think only one is a setup for something in the future, but the rest are either heartfelt and cool fan service or fucking hilarious.
Good.
Stan Lee's cameo is great, and they've talked a lot about it online. If you see an article talking about Stan Lee's cameo in this, skip it, because it's more fun to catch it firsthand.
Yeah, I've pretty much been staying away from everything, so I don't. And most of my Facebook friends are all spoiler free, so they're pretty good about it.
They're not spoiler free. Threaten them.
Yep.
There's only a couple spoilers you can really give in this. It's not mystery is not a big part of this, but as with most movies, it is better to discover it on your own. The soundtrack, I haven't listened to it yet because it's in the mail. It'll be be delivered tomorrow. But it's not. I bet what I'm saying is the song. Most of the songs are not as classic as the first soundtrack. I think the only ones you really have that are classic are like "Fox on the Run" and "The Chain" by Fleetwood Mac. The rest don't seem nearly as classic, but it still plays a decent part. Still good. I still purchased it, willing to listen to it all. I give it 0 shots of Kraken. It's a good time. It not necessarily as good as the first one, but is a worthy sequel.
That's what I've heard too. Is it's pretty much right on that cusp where it's a worthy sequel, maybe not as good as the first one, though.
I will say the ending is better. The ending actually evoked feels from me twice. You know, you get something caught in your eye and all. You're like, oh, hold on, something's in my eye. Take my glasses off, get that out. it good feels, good time, good character development for most of them. And like I said, even Drax not having character development doesn't seem out of place because he's still in the movie enough and still doing stuff. Stupid Alexa. In any case, there you go. 0 shot to Kraken. Go out and see it when you get the chance. I'll probably be taking my mom to see it later after I show her the first one, which she hasn't seen. I just have to find a DVD copy because she does not have a Blu-ray player.
Uh-oh.
Or she has to come over here and watch it on Blu-ray. We'll see what we can do. But super cool. I can't wait to watch Guardians again, but I'm a little ways away. I just did Captain America for the co-host corner. So I've got Avengers on tap next, which I'm super looking forward to.
What do we have coming up? I mean, the summer of movies is coming up pretty soon because June is right around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
What do we have?
Well, I'd look up on the internet, but I know we have Alien Covenant, which I am really, really not looking forward to.
I'm hoping it doesn't suck.
I've seen reviews. They've been kind of mediocre. I have no desire to see it. It seems like beating a dead horse to me.
I can go with you on that.
I don't want to say it's bad, because Prometheus looked very pretty. It looked like it had some good content, but it did not get great overall reviews.
Let's see, we have Spider-Man coming up.
Spider-Man coming out, Thor Ragnarok at some point, but I think that could be. It's a little later in the year.
War of the Planet of the Apes.
I haven't seen any of the other ones, so that's not really. But
Transformers. King Arthur.
It seems interesting. I mean, I don't think it's going to be. Well, it's Guy Ritchie, so I imagine it's going to be my kind of good, but I don't think it's going to be good.
One that I'm actually really kind of looking forward to. Dark Tower. If you haven't watched that trailer, oh my god.
Have I watched that trailer? Idris Elba is my boy.
That trailer went. I literally went, oh shit.
I have not read those books, but I am excited to see this movie. It looks good. So here's a funny thing. We watch Guardians of the Galaxy. It goes straight from their shitty pre-movie, screen entertainment stuff to the movie. We had no trailers beforehand.
Yeah.
It was kind of awesome, actually. I'm like, no trailers? That's cool. I just get to watch the movie?
And if you have, Stars or whatever, you've got to watch American Gods.
Oh, I've heard that. Oh, yeah. You know, The Mummy's coming out. Tom
Oh,
Cruise, he's got to have a movie every year or so.
sorry.
That's a wait for reviews, but he hasn't had a lot of really big misses, to be honest. He's the definition of a movie star.
Oh, and you know what? We have Wonder Woman coming out,
That's
which I
true.
hope doesn't suck.
DC movies are like an abusive boyfriend. You
Yeah,
really hope they'll stop with the abuse, but at the end of the day, they don't.
I
But I'll go
really
see it
because
anyways.
I mean, Wonder Woman. Okay, it's an iconic superhero.
Mm-hmm.
It's a female iconic superhero,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one that deserves a good movie
And it's one that the
because.
people that they don't really need to go all in on background. They just have to go decent enough because so many people saw the '70s TV show.
Hmm. And
So
everybody know. I mean, too many people know about Wonder Woman. Just give me a good Wonder Woman show. I mean, you don't just shove things down my throat about it. Just give me a good Wonder Woman show. I have a bad feeling it's going to be horrible because of
yeah,
DC's record.
my problem is I'm worried that it's going to be a bad Captain America ripoff.
I agree.
Um, then again, there's a lot of room for them to be for it to be a good Captain America ripoff, which I'd be happy with because I fucking love Captain America.
Yeah.
Setting it in World War One's interesting idea, good background. I don't trust DC yet.
Mm-mm.
When, in my opinion, the best movie they've done is Suicide Squad, and that one's,
Oh,
depending on who you are, somewhere between shit and on the high side of mediocre. I mean,
shit.
you think it's shit? Uh,
It was. They had so much going for it because I actually, when the comic book came out, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is really good. This is
your mic just died.
like this sucks."
Yeah. So it's funny because throughout your entire rant, your mic died and then just came back for you saying it sucks, which I think actually is pretty much sums up what you said.
I mean,
I don't hate it or even dislike it the way I dislike Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel. I think it's the best of those movies, but that's not saying a lot.
we're talking about Man of Steel, the newest Superman movie.
Yeah,
I, out of those three, I think that one was the best because I did have some feels in that.
I
And
wouldn't argue hard with you. How about that?
and the only reason why is because of um, Kent's scene where he tells his son not to go out there. That right there, that because of that scene.
No, that's
Whenever he
fair.
goes, that scene right there is the one that made it for me. But yeah, it still wasn't a great Superman movie
No,
or a good Superman movie.
but we'll see. I'm still, like I said, we're holding out hope for Wonder Woman. I am more worried about Justice League. It seems like it's gonna have good parts, but Cyborg still looks terrible.
I have a problem with that movie too. I think it's just say let's capsize. Let's try to get as much as we can.
Well, they're literally going. We have to catch up to Marvel,
Hmm.
and it's the real problem with Man of Steel. They didn't earn it. This
Yeah,
problem with Batman Superman. They didn't earn it. They're not spending time to earn what they're doing. They're trying. Literally, it's going to go from one Superman movie, one Superman and Batman team up movie, then Wonder Woman, straight into Justice League. Where, Marvel took several more movies and introduced all of the main characters prior to that movie.
yeah.
We'll have to see how it goes. But here's holding out hope for them. But this brings us to the end of another episode, guys. We made it
What?
without my left John. Well, I mean, he came in the chat room and screwed everything up, but, hey.
Yeah, jerk.
Oh, so sorry no music on the outro, guys. I don't want my computer explode. We've already proven that that's not a thing to try. So until next time, thank you all for watching, and see you in a week. Ron.
Run! Yes, we did get sideswiped. Jerk.